Okay, so the swords are very interesting in regards to the vision quest. A very interesting suit because now we're with the mind. So some, masters, they teach that the mind actually is the enemy. I'm not going to go that far and say it is the enemy because that kind of gives it a lot of a scary vibe to it. But the mind is not your friend either because it can create a lot of problems for you. If you get very frightened, if you believe in something that is maybe very harmful to you, that all lives in the mind. That can pull your consciousness down very, very low, and it can create a lot of problems in people's lives. It's actually what's going on in their minds. So in the vision quest, really the purpose is to still the mind. So you can see that, because at first I did not understand how the swords fitted into the vision quest. But the swords are actually not there for you to master even the mind, or maybe it is some level of mastery, but it's actually more to do with stilling the mind and detaching a little bit from the mind, or not sort of detaching so that you're not grounded in your body. It's more like that you understand that the mind plays tricks on you, so you don't get so absorbed in the mind, if that makes sense. That you have an awareness of how the mind is creating situations in your head that can easily be projected into the world in all kinds of ways. So you see the stirring of the ace here, in Ace of Swords. Then, so that's active. Then the next card is stilling. Here she stills because the mind was active and she actively then stills it. So she uses her will to still. But then they stir it again in Three of Swords. And what does the seeker do? They still it. This is the whole suit of swords up to 10 of Swords is like this. Then it becomes active again in Five of Swords. What does the seeker do? They still it, because even though they're on the boat, they can't jump off the boat. So basically just means they are putting some restraints on their mind. They're stilling the mind. Then the mind becomes active again in Seven of Swords, creating some problems. So what do the seeker do? They still it. Every second card is stilling the mind. They still it. They bound themselves up. Then the mind becomes very active again here in Nine of Swords. So what does the seeker do? They still the mind. Even though this is a very dramatic card, they still have still the mind. And they realize here, this is that the mind is not their friend. And when you see them, the dark, you can kind of, it's sort of a dark card because of the sky, but look, there is also light there. So I believe that this represents going beyond the mind. That's the purpose of the suit of swords, is to go beyond the mind and to understand that the mind it's not your friend in the sense that it's going to give you great things. Because remember, in the wands is active masculine energy, and it can create a lot on the physical plane. But when it's a vision class, they channel all that masculine energy in. So in the first, wand card, it's just Ace of Wands. It's just holding one wand. But at the end of the vision quest, which is really 10 of wands, they're holding 10 wands. So I'm just going to find the cards if I can. They're holding 10 then. So it starts with holding just one. But as the seeker progresses and they become better and better and stronger within themselves, they can handle a lot more. They can handle much more of their own masculine energy. And it's basically they can channel inwards a lot more than they can in the beginning. So it's all about becoming stronger. It's all about becoming better. In the suit of swords, it's no different. They just have to still the mind. Whatever situation arises, they have to still the mind. So it's a great idea showing up in Ace of Swords. It's also masculine energy, and it wants to go out there. When you get Ace of Swords, it could be that you really want to invent something. You have something you want to communicate. It's actually a very positive card. But because we're reading, and it's a vision class, the whole purpose of the vision class isn't to create in the world. It's actually to create something within. So it's a completely different, the context is completely different. The goal is completely different. It's nothing out there in the world that you want when you're in the vision quest. You just want to create yourself from the inside out. You want to heal yourself from the inside out. It's not about what you're creating in the world. So when, you know, they're stealing their mind, they're doing a good job of it, there's heartache there. And that's stirring in the heart. So they steal it, you know, steal their heartache. So anyone who's meditated know how much can pop up in the mind when you meditate. It's all coming rushing back. That's why it's hard to meditate sometimes if there's a lot of emotional turmoil, because it will be emotional flashbacks just popping up everywhere. And you can see that throughout the whole suit of swords. Emotional flashback, conflicts, defeat, whether it was arguments, whether it was betrayal, you know. But the seeker is stealing their mind and moving away from that. Then there is whether it was maybe dishonesty, maybe the seeker have to face their own dishonesty, maybe they have to look at their own actions, you know. They're stealing it as well. The Eight of Swords, they're basically forcing their mind to be still. So the suit of swords is actually remarkable. Nine of Swords, you know, sleepless nights, worrying about, this is like your worst fear basically, and steal their mind even away from it, so it can't attach itself either. So this is not the suit of swords that we're used to, you know, because if we're not on the vision quest and this materializes, it's usually a situation where we hit some kind of defeat in our lives, where we feel just things are just not working out. But when it comes to meditation and the vision quest, those situations then brings actually freedom to the seeker, because then it's something they can let go of. It's all about what's going on the inside, what they're thinking about it, how the mind creates, that must mean this. So let's say there's heartache, you know, why is this disturbing? Because then the seeker feels, oh, that must mean that I'm not lovable. You know, it attaches itself and creates some kind of meaning to it. And that's why the mind is playing tricks. It creates some sort of truth that can really torment the seeker. And you can see how tormented they are in Nine of Swords. You know, they're very tormented by all of their fears, doubts, and disbeliefs. So it's absolutely necessary for the seeker to have some awareness of how the mind operates, and that they can attach themselves from. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, you know, it doesn't mean this or that, you know. So with the court cards, this is very active here, both in Page of Swords and definitely in Knight. So here they really get starting to, the mind is getting very active here, but it really gets active in Knight of Swords. Look, it's charging ahead. So if you get Knight of Swords and you're reading it in regards to the vision quest, it really it's like, where are you going with your mind? You know, where are you going? What are you creating in your life? Because this guy looks like he's heading for war, you know what I mean? But he's actually heading for his own seat of the soul. Because in the traditional Rider-Waite, the queen and king, they sit in their seat, you know, on their throne, which is the gateway, it's the pineal gland. And both the Queen of Swords and King of Swords are stilling their mind. So it's about stilling the mind. And here she has her arm raised, which can mean that there's still a little bit of activity. But here he is completely still. So King of Swords is really about mastery, and that your mind works for you, not against you. And it's interesting that I thought when I've looked into the suit of swords in regards to the vision quest, I thought it must mean that we're meant to recreate our mind, but it's not that. It's about stilling the mind. It's about going beyond the mind. It's about not allowing those beliefs to attach themselves, and you believe in those, those scenarios that you believe, oh my God, that must mean this and that, you know, and because that creates so much emotion upheaval in us. And it's actually, when it comes to recreating the mind, that is actually the suit of Pentacles, which I thought was just about how we operate in the physical world. But with the vision quest, it's all about the inside of a person. So the sort of recreating the mind and making the mind really work for you, that we see in the Pentacles. And how does that sort of translate in the world? Well, look at all the abundance they can create when they have a mindset that is very healthy. But they're really rebuilding, you know, their mind. And I'm gonna do a separate video about the Pentacles, but in the Rider-Waite deck, when you see either a castle, a manor house, or a cottage, or any kind of house or building, that is the seeker's mind. So when you see the Pentacles, it's kind of building inside this, it's inside building, and they're architects, then it's outside the church, when he was building it in Three of Pentacles, they're outside of it in Five of Pentacles. They're creating their own mind, and they're looking at where is their issues, and where do I need to go and have a look and create something and improve on something. That's what they're doing in the Pentacles. So the Pentacles is really about rebuilding the mind to be really healthy. Where did I neglect myself? Where was I? Where am I not seeing myself? Where am I not putting in the effort into my own mind? So for example, someone who does a lot of inner child healing, for example, I would say that you really see that really in the Pentacles. So I was completely surprised to see that the Pentacles more speak about healing the mind, and the Swords are more about stilling the mind. The Wands is all about channeling in your own masculine energy to have the energy to even look within. You know what I mean? And the Cups are all about your spirituality. It's about your consciousness being like a river going back to the ocean. One way or the other, you're going back there. You're all being pulled back to God again. No matter what we think we're doing, we're being pulled back again. That's just how the flow is. And when the Cups are showing up for you, you might be having some sort of magnetic pull towards God that maybe you're not even really that aware of it, but it's showing up that's what's happening, and so that's really, really beautiful. And how did our ancestors know so much about the mind and our soul and spirituality and all of this? Well, they had so much spiritual support. It's unbelievable. We have no spiritual support really when you think about it. We're pretty much left on our own here now. But they had, first of all, they lived in smaller groups. They were not isolated. They also had a practitioner of the vision quest. So in Norway, we had, the Seder shaman that came from the Siberian shaman. They had their own version of it, but they used the Amanita muscaria mushroom in a very sophisticated way. This is what I truly believe. And I believe that when there was some problem psychologically with somebody, they knew how to help that person. And I think they also knew within themselves when they needed to look within. I think they knew when they were triggered, when they were anxious, when they had all these, that they just needed to look within. Because that was the culture. And that's why they spoke in metaphors and parables. They didn't speak the way we're speaking now. They had a completely different language style. Everything was a parable. Nothing was just like you're just talking straightforward. Everything was a symbol, because a picture and an image says more than 1,000 words. And when you start the vision quest and you look within yourself, your own mind will give you symbolism and metaphors. So why doesn't it just tell you what the issue is? You will see it in a metaphors, because it says so much, and it says it on so many levels. So when they were speaking, they spoke in that way because then they could say so much on so many levels. So that was their culture. That's who they were. They lived and breathed this. It wasn't just something they did, once in a lifetime. This was their lifestyle. That's why everything they created was a spiral, and we have the trispule, we have the Valknut. No one knows. People are like, what does it mean? Well, you have to look at what were they actually doing. They were on the vision quest, and they knew that everything was connected. And how do I know that they believe this? Because I have looked into their old stories, the original stories before the takeover of the Roman Empire, when they were forced to just be religious. They had lost their spiritual practice, and there was a complete change in their character. That's when you see the violent, the raiding, angry Viking. That came at the end of this period, and they lost the vision quest. It wasn't there before. They were stable before. This is what they were doing. And when it comes to the mind, you have to just understand that it creates some sort of reality for you and a belief. But you can question if it is truth, then you can go beyond it and experience yourself on so many higher levels. and deeper levels. So going deep and going high is the same thing when you're doing the vision quest. That is the same thing. So it's not like I'm going to go high so I don't have to deal with myself. No, you're going deep within, but at the same time you're going up high and you get a much higher perspective on things. Okay, guys? Love you so much, and I can't wait to talk about the pentacles. Bye.